Hi, this is Andrew with Bells of Steel USA. Today we're going to show you how to put together your reverse hammer. There's a YouTube video before this that shows an overall view of it and some of the different bolts and where they go. I hope that helped, but today we're going to do a more in-depth video of how to put it together. This thing is decently heavy, so if you have a friend, that's always going to help kind of support things and put things together. It went together pretty easy for me, but if you have any other questions, you can call the 800 number, hit line 1 for sales. I'm the one that puts everything together, so you can call me and we can talk about how to put together if you need extra help. I hope this video does help. We're going to start off with the pads. You're going to get this big block that the pads go on. You're going to have 3 pads. So you'll have 2 outsides that are the same, and then 1 that goes on the inside. Just follow the contour of this nice metal piece. This thing's decently heavy. There are 2 different 6mm bolts. We'll go over tools after this real quick, but there are 2 different 6mm bolts. There's 10 of these small ones, so that's the small one you're going to put with the washer on this. So go ahead and drop it first, that always helps. And all you're going to do is line up those pads, get them hand started, and then you can take your 6mm Allen key or Allen wrench and get them started. And then get them fully tightened down. I recommend tightening these down before you put the middle swing on there. It's too hard to get to these once this thing is partially bolted on. So go ahead and get these nice and snug before you put the rest on. Let's go over the tools. The other tools you're going to need. You're going to need a 14mm socket. I'm going to use impacts, a 17mm socket, and a 19mm socket. And then for the back plate, you're going to need a smaller, you can't use an impact, it's going to be a 17mm socket for the back plate. It's too tight to get this in there. And then you're going to need a 17 and a 19mm spanner for some of the tight places that you can't get your impact in. I'm going to use an impact. You don't have to, but just helps for ease in time. They're a little quicker than using spanners. Let's go over the frame. Comes in 4 big pieces. You got your 2 sides, your middle support, your back support. Make sure on the back support the wheels are facing outwards. And then on this middle support here that ties it all together, make sure that the slits start in the front, not in the back. This is to do your different adjustments. Make sure that the holes are in the front. The awesome thing about the frame is that it uses a 19mm bolt like this. It uses all of these. So it'll have a space in there, and then it'll have your thread, and then a bolt head on the end, or a nut that you can tie it all together. So these are decently heavy, but they're not that hard to put in. My biggest suggestion is get all the through bolts in nice and loose. That way you can line it up a little bit easier. If you tighten these down real tight, it makes it hard to put the back plate or the side support in. So make sure that when you're putting it all together, put them in loose first, and then you can go back and tighten them with your 19mm socket and then your 19mm spanner on the inside. So yeah, I went ahead and put that together just so you can see kind of an overall view of it. Next thing we're going to do is put these slide rods in. These are pretty easy to put through the front. You can't put them through the back. The back's got to stop on it. It does not matter which way these middle slides are facing, because they're all equal lengths apart. You're going to take your other 6mm Allen. It's the longer one, same size though. And then in the kit, there's 2 bigger washers. This is going to be the smaller of the bigger 2 washers. So always get these started by hand, and then you can go back in with your actual Allen and tighten them down. Alright, so once you're done with that, I'm going to go ahead and put this piece on. Make sure that the pads go to the front, and that the pull part is also on the front. And then on the back, there's 2 different knobs that come with this. One of the knobs goes down here for your final adjustment. Make sure that's nice and loose when you put it on the back, otherwise it won't sit on this frame. I actually like this design. It's a lot easier than manhandling this whole thing on the frame. Line up your bolt holes. And then this is going to be your 14mm. So there's 6 of these. 14 millimeter. It's got a small washer for it. Keep those hand tight first, and then I'll go through with an impact. This thing will also click in place, so it's going to kind of straighten it for you, so there's not a lot of trying to find the hole in there. These are aluminum, so make sure that they're nice and straight, otherwise they will cross thread. It's one of the beautiful things about how aluminum likes to cross thread on you. And these are aluminum, so when I tighten them down with the impact, I'm going to go really loose. I'm not going to snug them down super tight, because an impact will break these. So I'm going to grab my 14 millimeter. Make sure that's nice and tight, and then this back piece is what tightens it all down nice and tight together. Keeps it all nice and straight. I went ahead and tightened all this already beforehand, so we don't know that's nice and tight. Show you how to put the pad on. So I've already got 3 in. Take your pad, slide it on, and then you're going to take your big washer. Right there in front. Oh, here it is. Right there. This is not an Allen bolt. It's a nice small 17. So it's a really, really short 17. Since it's so tight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push in there and get that pad nice and sturdy in there so that way I can see the end. And I'm not trying to fish for the hole all day. Put your big old washer on there. Grab your 17. We're good to go on that. The back plate, there's only 2 bolts in the kit that are like this. These are 17s. They have the bolt, 2 washers, and a nut. This is for the back plate. This is where you're going to need a regular socket, because this thing is really tight back here with the handle. We'll line up this back handle, put that bolt through, put it through the back, washer and nut. I'm using my 17 spanner. Put it on. So this back plate is where you put your feet against, you push against for the GHD part, and then for the reverse hyper, we'll use these handles to hold on to. Now all left is putting the pad on. These 2 foot supports right here are 19 millimeter, just like the frame. So it's got the 19 millimeter, slide it through, bolt on the other side, call those through bolts. And then this is where you're gonna need your 19 millimeter spanner, or box end, whatever you call it. There's going to be 4 of these. So just have a washer with it for each side. So here are my 8 right here. They're a little bit shorter than these. So the long ones, they go for the bearings. The short ones go for this part. So you'll find 8 of these, 4 on each side. The only thing that's kind of frustrating is that these are at an angle, so you are going to have to use a box end. Just going to take a little bit of time. And then grab your 19, you're going to have to just tighten it by hand, old school style. Make sure you get them snug, they don't need to be overly tight. So those last two small bolts, just like this, are gonna go on top right here. And then you got your big 19 without the extra washer and bolt. They're gonna go on right here. So get all those lined up, hand tighten them, and then we'll tighten them back down. So I went ahead and put the top pad on. The small bolts that we're just working with here, the 19s, they're gonna go right up here. These are the last two small ones of these. Then you're gonna take 4. You got the 19 with just the washer on it, and that's it. These go in these 4 spots here. So slide through. If you can't get that gap any tighter, loosen the top bolt just a touch, and then you can give her some nice, some love. And eventually find the hole. So we got our pad on. I didn't follow my own advice, which I did on the bottom. You should leave these loose. Tighten these down way too tight so they were stiff and off center. So once again, leave those bottoms loose and then tighten everything at the very end. That's what happens when you don't follow your own advice. Last, we're gonna put on the swing that holds the belt. My recommendation is to go ahead and put the bearings on. Put these little wing nuts on the outside so you're able to tighten them down. And then there is quite a bit of play in here, so you don't have to get them, it shouldn't be too hard to get it up in there. It may just take a second hand. This isn't the lightest. Make sure that the belt attachment is on the front, so there's these little spikes in the front. You can hook a belt to different heights. And then you're gonna use your last 19s to get them on there. They're a little bit longer than the foot ones, but quite a bit shorter than anything else. There's 4 of these. If you got a friend, I'd recommend asking for help. You might be able to get on your own, but we'll see how I do. Try to get one on each side and see how it goes. Another tip and trick on this is loading the plates. This is made for a garage gym, and it's made and designed to save space. This thing is not overly wide because we're trying to save space. That's why we did the combo on it. So some of you might say it's gonna be hard to get that plate in there. I haven't had any issues, and I'll show you kind of a trick with it. This is one of our wider plates you're gonna have. So instead of spending all day trying to jam it in there, all I do is take it, slide it back, and then I can put my plate on it. So just put your foot around the strap, pull it back and put it on. You can easily put a clip on this too. That was another thing I really liked about it. Some of these, when you get them, you can't put a clip on them because they're too small. This has got a 2-inch Olympic collar on it, so you can't put a clip. You can load quite a bit of weight, no problem on it. And then when you're done, you can just pull your foot back and put the weight back. If you have any other questions on it, let me know. I'll always give you my best professional advice on any of our equipment. And I'll tell you this is one of our nicest products that we just released. This thing is legit. You will enjoy it, and it is a good price. Thank you so much.